Welcome to the Jamesburg Presbyterian Church. Today is Wednesday, July the 22nd, 2020. Great to see all of you here today. I know that some of you are tuning in now. I've seen that on my Facebook page, but I know others will tune in later on. And I hope that you get as much out of the devotionals as I'm getting out of coming up with them. Some of you have been wondering how I'm doing. I'm doing well. I have no symptoms. I'm either into the 13th or 14th day of a 14-day quarantine. At this point in time, I think it's pretty safe to say that I've managed to evade the virus, and that's good news. People who I was exposed to are recovering in various stages, but most everyone is making a very positive progress through this time period. I don't know about any of you, but for me, I hate to turn on the news anymore. Every time I turn on the news, it's just nothing but bad news. It's all negative stuff. If you listen to the news, no matter which political party wins the White House in the presidential election, it's the end of the world. If you listen to the news, no matter who gets control of the Senate, it's the end of the world. No matter who gets elected into any of the offices, it's the end of the world. The news is just relishing the idea that this is a very gloomy time. In addition to that, we see our cities torn up with violence, and depending upon who you listen to, this is the worst time of life in any possible period of history. However, having said all of that, we're living in the postmodern era, and if you've done any kind of reading about postmodernism, you will know that this is all predictable. This is a period of deconstruction. It's the cultural philosophy of tearing down. The unfortunate part of postmodernism is that there's usually no idea what to put in place of institutions we are tearing down. It's just getting rid of everything. We're throwing away the bathwater, the baby. For that matter, we're throwing away the bassinet. We don't need any of that stuff. And that just seems to be the cultural philosophy. I wish that I could go back in time. I wish I could have the power, the magical power to erase everything, maybe start over with a clean slate. I would eradicate racism. I would eradicate all of this negative political discourse. I would eradicate news agencies believing that the only thing we want to hear is a constant diet of negative. I would want to offer hope. That's part of the job of the church, to offer hope in times where things look hopeless. But incidentally, the church is one of the institutions that postmodernism wants to get rid of too. Again, with no idea what to replace it with. As a matter of fact, Christianity is not the only religion that postmodernism would like to get rid of. It would like to get rid of all religion. So none of this is surprising. But what would it look like if, in fact, we could get rid of everything? It would look like blank pages. That's what it would look like. It would just be pages in a book that we could write on, and we could fill in anything we wanted to fill in. That would be great. And as I said, I would want to write in hope. I would want to write in a kind of positivity that we could wake up in the morning excited and refreshed that life is good and that our world is good and that it's not the end of the world as the news wants us to believe. But that isn't how it is. When we look at our world, we see lines drawn, lines that are very specific. One side of the line says the other side of the line is wrong, and the other side of the line says the one side of the line is wrong. It doesn't matter which side of the line we stand on. We're going to be wrong, and we're going to say the other side of the line is wrong. That just seems to be how our culture is living, and that looks kind of like this. Colored in, pictures that are colored in. It's a tough time to be living our lives. It's not a blank book. It's not blank pages that we're looking at. It's colored in pages. That's what we're looking at. So what do we do in a time period like this? Well, the first thing we need to believe as people of faith is that no matter what, all of this is in God's hands. Those things that we can change in our world, we ought to be working on changing. Those things that we can change in ourselves, we ought to work on changing. If there's any sort of hatred, bigotry, racism, prejudice in my life, I want to get rid of it. I don't want to be a part of that in our culture. And I invite all of you to do the same. Look within yourself and decide what part of your life do you need to change, do you need to erase with God's help. And then we need to start projecting ourselves, part of what's missing in our world, that positive aspect, that hopeful perspective that gets us through each day, knowing that there is someone bigger than me in charge of our world. But there are problems. There are things in our world that we cannot change ourselves. There are problems. There are things in our world that we cannot change just because we want to change ourselves. In fact, we have to lift certain things up to God. God is the only one that can work the changes that we need. God is the only one that can redeem our broken world. Jesus Christ came into the world to change lives, to change our perspective, to give us hope as we live our lives, knowing that we are in God's hands, both in this life and in the life to come. So, the takeaway: change the things in you that you can change. Lift up to God the things that trouble you that you cannot change, and ask for God's healing power to change those things in our world. Be the positive hope that you would like to have in your life. Be that to others. Project that hope as you live your lives. We can make a difference. One person can change the world. Jesus Christ did that in his life and in his death and in his resurrection. I hope all of you will continue to live the summer germ-free, virus-free. I hope all of you will get through this just as I hope to get through it myself. Looking forward to being reunited with people who have been shut in because they are ill. Looking forward to seeing my congregation this coming Sunday. I anticipate being here. We have a baptism to celebrate, and I'm looking forward to that time. Stay well, stay safe. God bless you. Thank you.